Ciao, buongiorno ragazzi, un saluto di Inter Worldwide. Thank you for tuning into the final word, a personal favourite of mine. And because of the turnaround in Serie A, so many games, so little time, I skipped out on match day 11, so this is going to be a joint match day 11, match day 12, which only was over the space of 4 days anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work backwards though. I'm going to talk about this week's results and basically how they piggybacked off last week's results, so we can have a look at Serie A, how it ended up at the end of match day 12. Make sure I get that right. So I'll start with a couple of the dead games first. Udinese and Crotone, 0-0, a game that Udinese would have liked to get some points out of. I was actually able to catch the last 35 minutes of that, and it was actually a pretty dead rubber game. Crotone will be very happy with the point, considering they pumped Spezia 4-1 the week before. If you remember me saying, I was saying that Spezia is a tough team, and I feel like they'll be getting more points than any other relegation side. Well, I was proven wrong, but I have said that these are the games that if you are in that bottom meaty 5 or 6 teams that you need to win. Crotone's had a bad start to the season. They needed those 3 points. So kudos to them for getting the 3 points. Spezia, that result actually piggybacked into a 2-2 with Bologna in match day 12. So Spezia will be coming into the match against Inter looking quite deflated. Quite on the back of maybe that their decent start to the season might be taking a tumble. It's the perfect time for us to strike. So with those results and with Bologna's 2-2 draw, they actually ended up losing 5-1 to Roma the week before, I remember, at home as well. So Bologna definitely not performing at the level that they want to be performing at the moment. As we go over to the table and look at those teams respectively, Crotone, 6 points. 6 points, bottom of the barrel still, but 4 points in 2 games. Definitely a lot better than before. With a couple of good results, they still might be able to keep themselves above those really poor former mid-table teams, as they'll be known this season, your likes of Genoa, Torino, Parma, and my God, maybe even Fiorentina as well. Spezia, on the other hand, still have 11 points after getting their point with the 2-2 draw this week. So 11 points from 12 games. Probably not the worst start you'll ever see from a relegation side. But once again, showing that you are going to need more points in order to stay up. Because, Fiorentina surely are going to get some more points. They're only on 2 wins, by the way, this season, which is absolutely horrendous. In that match day 11, they got pumped 3-0 by Atalanta. I remember that. And their result this week was another 1-1 draw, but this time with Sassuolo. So they might be able to take a little bit of confidence from that game, considering they didn't go in there as favourites. They went behind in the 13th minute, but then Vlahovic converted from the spot just before half-time. No one able to find a winner in the second half, and Sassuolo must again deal with some dropped points. After their good start to the season, they have started to slip below that pace, back into that part of the table where everybody expects them to be this season, which could be as high as about 5th and as low as about 9th, in my opinion, to be honest. They did get the win against Benevento on match day 11 with the Domenico Berardi penalty, so good for them for another 3 points there. They'll get the points where it counts, Sassuolo, and they'll hurt teams where it counts. It's really, really good that we were able to go there on match day 10 and do the business, match day 9 and do the business 3-0. That's a really, really good result in hindsight now when you look back at that. Other results for this week. So, it was a really good week. Every team bar Roma dropped points. So, Inter was in the position where we basically gained minimum 2 points on everybody in the league, which was really, really good. So, Benevento and Lazio playing out a 1-1 draw. Pippo Inzaghi against his brother Filippo Inzaghi on the benches. Always nice to see. Lazio looked deflated, and it was actually Benevento towards the end who was still pushing on, even though they were actually, they got sent down to 10 men in stoppage time. Schiattarella with a really bad challenge, to be honest. There was absolutely no need for it. I feel like he was just trying to kill the player as well as kill the game off. So 1-0 for Benevento, and, more importantly, their position on the ladder, they've got 12 points from 12 games. I still predict that they survive the drop, to be honest. I think if there's going to be a relegation side that doesn't get relegated, it will be them. As we've said, they've got the momentum of finishing Serie B top by a mile, and Inzaghi's got the experience of already coaching in Serie A. So when he went down to Benevento, it was more like, okay, this is my level. Now I can be at my own vices and see what I can do and start to form my own self-identity as a manager. And to be honest, I actually predicted they'll stay up this year in Serie A. Lazio, on the other hand, said it before, say it again, their Champions League season is a different campaign to their Serie A season, and they're loving every minute of the Champions League. Through to the round of 16. Very tough opponent in the next round of 16, but in terms of Serie A, it's looking bleak. They are currently in 9th position with 18 points, and this is coming off the back of that 1-1 with Benevento. On match day 11, they lost 2-1 to Verona, which I did manage to catch as well. So, Lazio, look, man, they're already 6 points out of the top 4. Now, 6 points is not huge. Even with about 10 games to go, 6 points can be overturned. But you can't be leaving it late. You need to be in the running all season. Otherwise, your team will just lose momentum. You'll be deflated, and a couple of people might get grumpy. And then you've got a similar scenario to maybe what Napoli had last season. I'm talking about on the pitch. Of course, the behind issues will be very different in their own context. Also, Atalanta with their Papu Gomez issue, that's going to be a problem for them now for sure, but we'll see what happens with that. Let's stick with the results in the domestic campaign here. So, coming off the back of the 2-1 win over Lazio in match day 12, Verona hosted Sampdoria in a match where you'd predict they'd back up their win against Lazio. Instead, they lose with the same scoreline, 2-1. They're currently doing well still. They got 19 points. After 12 games, they sit 7th. This is around where they want to be all season. They know they're not going to get higher than this, but if they can stick in the top 10, they will stay in the top 10 in the last few weeks. They just got to get through, in my opinion, back end of February. Back end of February for a lot of these sides, you'll be able to tell what's going to happen for the rest of their campaign. But they've got a decent team, and I've said like their players are not half bad. They're not half bad, and when their coach has got such a decent stranglehold on the team, Juric, I think they'll do well. I think they'll continue to do well. Someone who's not doing well apparently is Antonio Candreva under Claudio Ranieri at Sampdoria. I actually didn't know this until Bruno pointed it out in the group chat. Apparently he is only on loan. He might come back. I thought we were done with him forever, like 100% done with him forever. I'm not even saying it's the worst thing in the world. If Conte wants to bring him back for depth, do it. I just think the entire situation is comical. He's a player that so many fans wanted out for so long. But, oh well. Parma and Cagliari played out a very, very boring 0-0 draw. I didn't catch any of that game, but I watched extended highlights, and I'm not too sure I even wanted to. Although there was like plenty of shots in the game, not many of them were on target. And both teams are, just basically the mid-table teams of the year. I think Parma's at more of a risk at dropping due to their backroom issues. Cagliari is in the position they're probably going to tattoo themselves in all season, in between 11th and 14th. So they're 12th at the moment, 13 points from 12 games. Winless in 5 though. Winless in Serie A in 5 games. They need to turn that around. That's a real shitty streak. And from what I see, they currently have the worst streak. No, I was about to say worst streak in the league. No, they don't. Torino has the worst streak in the league. Yuck, that's disgusting. Being a Torino fan at the moment would suck. Big time. Big time. The game that I was able to wake up for this morning was heaps good. Roma versus Torino. Speaking about Torino, they got a red card in the 14th minute, which was full time for them. They would struggle with 11 men against Roma, let alone 10. And then Roma just went on a trounce with Mkhitaryan grabbing another goal. He is arguably in the best form of his career at Roma. And, someone who watched him a lot at Manchester United and thought that it wasn't working out, feeling he was being made a scapegoat. I'm happy to see the bloke succeed. Jordan Vertu has had a really good season so far for Roma, and he grabbed a penalty as well to make sure that the points were there. So they're the only team really that has made it uncomfortable for us on this match day, but I wouldn't call it uncomfortable. And let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong on this or if I'm being arrogant. I just don't see Roma as a Scudetto rival this season. And that's a silly thing to say because they're only 3 points behind us. And if you take away that forfeit to Verona, then they're level I was about to say they're probably level, not probably level. Like objectively, they are level because the points were given away. Oh well, no, they would have to win that fixture, but y'all get what I mean. You get what I mean. Yeah, are they a threat? I don't know. Pellegrini's still a great player. He does his thing for them. Spinazzola does his thing. They're missing Zaniolo, and of course Edin Dzeko, Mr. Reliable all the time. So maybe, who knows, Roma could really be that dark horse of the season. Maybe similar to what Atalanta were last season, although the club in itself has much more stature than Atalanta. Some of my best memories of an Inter fan are the Scudetto fights with Spalletti's Roma. Yeah, they made it hard for us one year where they really crept up until the last day. The ladder even shifted on the last day. I think that was until, it might have been Ibra that grabbed the double, or it could have been Milito against Siena. I'm not too sure. You can fact check me on it if you know which one I'm talking about. I think that's it, apart from the three big important matches that I wanted to talk about this week. Juventus-Atalanta, 1-1. Good game. Really good game of football from two teams who I think are at even ability this season. I actually can't believe it was Papu Gomez actually singing the Juventus song on the Atalanta bench in Juventus Stadium. If he was doing that, what an absolute troll. I don't want to see him in a Juve jersey at all. He'll do really well for them, and it won't be good for us, to be honest. Chiesa grabs his first, Ronaldo misses a penalty. And Juventus, for the first time in a while, I'm actually thinking of buying into the hype that they're quite weak. As I said, I don't like to say Juventus are weak because they're never weak. And whenever you think that, they usually come back stronger. But undefeated in the league still, I guess you still got to take into that account that rubbish win over Napoli that was given to their ass. But with a couple more bad results, that they could look shaky. And the longer that they stay in Europe, the longer turnaround they have, the fatigue. It's there for the taking, guys. I don't need to spoon feed it. I don't need to write it out in block letters. It's there for us for the taking. We might as well just grab it and kick these dogs while they're down, for fuck's sake. All right, what's the last couple of results? Of course, one that I was very, very nervous watching. So the last two screens at work, just about as I was going to start. We got our game against Napoli and Milan's game against Genoa. You can't count Milan out ever. They're never going to take a loss. They're making these last-minute draws, making us fans feel like they won. But go ask their fans. A lot of them, they're starting to see that it's shaky because 2-2 against Genoa is shit. Genoa are a rubbish side this year, and they're at huge risk of relegation. Mattia Destro turns into Lewandowski for about 25 minutes in this game. Unbelievable. Destructible Destro against his former club. Celebrated as well. You love to see that. You love to see that against Milan. So with that result, Milan maintains top spot. Otherwise, we would have been on equal points. Our game against Napoli. So match reaction was super short because I was late. Oof. Painful 3 points. And not that kind of painful where you look dominant against a Cagliari, a Parma, a Benevento, a blah, 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 or whatever. But you score 3 goals and you win 3-1. But it's 2-1 up until the last 4 minutes and then we grab a third. The kind of wins we're talking about. This game was like a 100% troll. We were the poorer team from the zeros all the way to the 94. The poorest. I think maybe for about the first 10 or 11 minutes of the second half, we were equal. We were showing that we were ready for 3 points. But we were horrendous. But it was very tactical. I felt like the margins for errors in this game when I watched it back was so minor because both tacticians in Conte and Gattuso, they really went for each other's game plan rather than focusing on their own. And I think it just played into Napoli's hands a little bit better a lot of the time because we couldn't hold down the technicality in midfield. Brozovic was very, very deep. Very deep. And we just couldn't sustain any sort of fluidity in the midfield, and it was sad to see. Not to mention Romelu Lukaku, who's usually carrying 2 defenders and brushing them off, is getting absolutely manhandled by King Koulibaly. Whoever told me he was dipping in form, that guy had Rom on toast the whole game, and he could have gone a whole nother 90 and Rob would not have grabbed a goal in open play. Lautaro should have had a goal in the first few minutes where he misses that absolute sitter, and then it's just downhill from there for him in that game. We're going to have to bring in some sort of forward soon, and that's why I was actually thinking Papu Gomez would have been the perfect addition. But are we going to buy a player outright who is that age? I don't think if the board wants to do that. Plus, it looks like he might be going to the Ladri anyway. The result, however, which is the most important part, and what this whole concept of the video is that Inter has gained another 3 points, which is now 5 in a row. And I can't remember the last time we had 5 in a row. I'm sure we won 5 in a row last season, but with everything that we've been hearing, you'd be forgiven for thinking that we haven't just gone 5 on the bounce in Serie A. So I don't know where you guys stand in terms of like us always being spoilt fans that love to have a whinge every second of the day. Oh, by the way, Handanovic was man of the match. Of course he was. I'm not fucking blind, contrary to what some people might think. But at the end of the day, he's been poor almost every game this season. So big up Handanovic, man of the match, best game of the season so far. Doesn't excuse the rest, and I'm not ready to let objective facts slip. So, great game from Handanovic. Hopefully he can see out the season without causing any match screwing up blunders that cost us points. And then we can move on next season and focus on getting a new goalkeeper. 27 points from 12 games, won 8, drawn 3, lost 1, scored 30 goals, which is 3 more than the next team in the league, which is Roma and Milan. So we are the highest scoring team in the league. We've conceded 15 altogether, which means our goal difference is plus 15. And we currently have the hottest form in Serie A. Our next 2 games against Spezia and Verona, and that's the next time I'll check in final word-wise, I reckon. Let's check these dates. Monday the 21st at 1 a.m. Good thing it's school holidays, eh? Next one... Where is it? I'm sure we play. Yeah, Verona, Thursday the 24th, the day before Christmas, morning before Christmas, 4:30 a.m. 2 games very, very close together. Let me know in the comments below how many points you think we're getting from Spezia and Verona. How many points you think we're getting from those games there? Because the next 2 fixtures for Milan are actually tougher than ours. Away to Sassuolo, home to Lazio. You've got to think they're not getting 6 points there. They could potentially get 4. If we can get 6, we might be at the summit. But of course, it's not like we're very far ahead of Juventus. It's only 3 points and ahead of Roma as well. But, you know, now's actually a decent, really good opportunistic time to be proactive and not reactive and put some daylight between some of these clubs early on while we've got the manpower. We should be having Sanchez come back from injury as well. Vidal too, so we just might be okay for these 2 games rotation-wise, considering Stefano Sensi is having his longest run in form and in fitness since the start of last season. Y'all know what I mean. Anyway, Forza Inter Worldwide. Ciao ragazzi.